You're right. Okay. Is it there? Hi,
Don't know
Ben.
yet.
Hi.
What's going
Hey,
on?
welcome everyone. This is your late night PGA show for the HSBC Champions Edition. I may or may not be in front of you on the screen. Ben should be, I think.
Let's hope that I'm there. We are both there, rocking and rolling. We look fine. To Tim Frank box, unfortunately, this is a two-man. That he only can do one way. He's a diva. We can't afford the big time on Wednesday nights, but we are here taking you up to lock. World Golf Championship. Here we go. I don't know, man. This is going to be the last Asian Swing non-cut event. So I'm kind of excited to be done with it at the same time.
Yeah, you're not gonna miss Asian Swing no cut event season.
It's sentimental value each and every week we do it.
Absolutely. Should be fun. I am not playing a whole lot this week. I don't know about yourself.
No, not really. It's just it's trying to be responsible, like just not getting crazy.
Do I need to have an on-air production meeting?
Oh,
sounds like it.
God. But yeah, I mean,
can you see? Am I visible, Josh?
Let me open my phone back up.
Yeah, you're definitely visible. I'm watching the stream.
Did we not make two scenes? Do you have two scenes listed in OBS right now?
We are live for what it's worth.
Yeah, we are.
No, I'm well aware. I got the alert on my phone.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to talk some golf in the meantime. But yeah, I mean, I only played 10 lineups, which is much less than I normally do. And I looked at the weather. The first thing a lot of people have asked me, do I think it's going to be windy? Will that affect it? No, because it's a 2-hour window gap. So I made some lineups as if it's going to be windy, but I didn't make lineups that are tee time stacks because I don't think you can do that in such a small window.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I mean, there's nothing to do at a no-cut event when there's wind or not because it's not going to change anything. If you think there's a tiny, tiny edge, occasionally if looks like it's going to be worse in the afternoons, what happened?
No, the stream just looks hilarious with Josh on it too. It's just windows on windows.
Yeah, it's Inception stuff. It's great. It's
we do what we can. But yeah, that's not something I really factored in. I mixed and matched at the top, as we talked about, because I don't think there's a lot of distinguishable, from these super elite guys. And then I avoided the deep, deep sixes. I think that's unnecessary to go down there. Yes, can you take a stab? Will somebody play good? Yeah, but good luck telling me which one of the 15 made-up guys that's going to be.
Do you have any Kazire?
I don't, but he was close. If I played my normal amount, I'd say I'd have maybe like 5 to 10%. Think I could get over. He can get so hot with the putter. So I don't. Harmon, you got me on Harmon a lot.
Yeah, Harmon's a good play, confirmed. That's the lowest I've gone as well. This is the least golf I've ever played in my entire life. It's been a very busy NBA week. It's been very busy around here. So
production, as you can see, is been a busy production week.
I'm just killing it. My first week as a producer, like that's just adding it all to the skill set. So feeling good, and didn't spend a ton of time on golf lineups. I do like Harmon, Hadwin, Charlie Hoffman. Those are the kind of the dumpster dives I'm heading towards. You got any other ones down there that you like? Because I think that is where we differentiate. I don't think there's a ton of edge to get with the higher dollar players.
Yeah, I agree. As much as not that I didn't want to go to him, I got into the Peters thing. I definitely am higher on him than I was yesterday. He's 7,100, and we know how the non-cut does really help him. Kyle Stanley, he's also in the sevens, a little higher though. Another staple in my lineups, just consistently good ball striker, kind of a consistently bad putter. But what I look, and we talk about this a lot. There's a difference between a guy who can't putt and basically never gets hot, and guys who are generally bad putters, but they show flashes. And he's in that bucket of. He gets hot occasionally, and when he does, watch out.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, just FYI, there's no saving this.
No, I wouldn't imagine so.
Just let it rip as is, because your camera is on and appear in.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's working. That I couldn't get the camera. We'll have to talk about this afterwards.
Yeah,
This is
camera
really
camera
boring.
off and appear and then open OBS. But
Right, that's what I did. Maybe not in that order. Probably not in that order. God damn.
best of luck, guys.
Thanks.
Have at it.
Bye.
This will be one for the books.
Yeah.
Anyway, but chat, if we got, there he is. Perfect. Jeff Wilson on top of things. I was just going to say, if you have questions, drop them in chat for us. We'll be happy to answer. First one, any thoughts on Billy Ho, your boy?
Not a big Billy Ho guy. Probably not going to play any. Didn't really when he was hot. Don't really see a reason to get on him now. He finally sucked last week. I feel like this is the start of a 9.5 month Billy Ho is not good season that happens every year.
Yeah, we've talked the opposite about, guys who get a restart. Say they've had a really bad stretch, fresh thing. He had an amazing stretch at the end of the year. Then he came to Asia and he was uneventful in Malaysia and he was absolutely horrendous last week. Price is going to start to drop, but I still think it's inflated. You're not going to get non-existent ownership, which is what I'd be looking at for someone like him. So didn't make the cut for me either.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Achilles wanted to know Grace or Reeve on fantasy draft. If they're the same price, Grace I do think is a better player. I'm a Ches Reeve guy, but typically that's because I play more on DraftKings and they're usually like, $1,200 to $2,000 difference in price. So usually go with Reeve, and I play a lot more Reeve, but I do think Grace in a vacuum is a better play.
Same. Grace gets somewhat of a bad rap for being like a super hardcore specialist, can only win when the score is like plus 10. There's some truth to that, but it's not like you can't play him in a non-cut. And even though I don't think he's like in the top tiers, we always do the tier thing. He's in a tier above where I have someone like Ches Reeve just in the golf world. Right?
Yeah. I mean, Ches Reeve is pretty good.
Ches Reeve's in the Martin Laird tier with like the real shady characters. Yeah, he is.
No.
Grace is in the Xander tier. Arbitrary tiers. That's also a great way of posing a question in chat. Scrub Euros. You see what you're doing? You're spreading this narrative about these poor Euro guys.
It's not a narrative. It's not a narrative. The Euro Tour is terrible. This is like on a week I'm underprepared. Don't make me start fighting about the Euro Tour stuff because I can back this up.
I'll say this, and I actually, shameless plug. You'll see it's dropping. I did Pat Mayo's football show today, and I asked him. We were talking before the show. I asked him specifically about Wallace and Bjerregaard, about what is going on with these chalk, and he referenced two things that I think are worth noting. First one you brought up yesterday, and it's a really interesting point about, I think Drewby was the guy you mentioned. There's not as much content right now for golf, so ownership projections across the board are going to be a little more unreliable / just higher variance in what we get because we just don't have as much noise to go off of. And the second thing is a lot of it's driven by the betting markets, and those two guys specifically are getting a lot of love there. I still can't believe they're going to be that highly owned. I have 0% of both of them.
Yeah. Is Bjerregaard really going to be the highest owned play? That seems crazy to me.
I can't believe that, but he's going to be somewhat popular unless everything's completely wrong. And it's just not a guy that I'm that like, if he burns me, so be it. You have to take stands anyway in a field like this. That seems like a no-brainer for a long-term EV. It's not like you fade them and then you win because they don't play good. They could easily play good. More times than not, you're coming out ahead in that situation.
Yeah, and you know who bets on, Asian Tour no-cut swing season? Euro people.
Yeah, I just... again, it's nothing... I think these guys are a lot better than you do, probably. But at the same time...
I know that they're not better than that because the competition they play against is
different,
horrendous.
Though. That's not how that stuff works. It's it's not a perfect correlation. I know what you're saying, but we've talked about this. Put PGA Tour players on the Euro Tour, and they would struggle horribly short term. Then they'd get acclimated, and they would probably dominate the Euro Tour.
Absolutely. Patton Kazire would destroy it on the Euro Tour after a month or two.
I don't know about a month or two, but I get the sentiment. But for that same narrative, if you take Euro guys and you put them on the PGA Tour and give them a little while, a lot of the guys you think would be out on the web would not. They would be fine.
Dan noticed Cooler's comment about how Stratford is judging us somewhere because Dan, after hearing his voice, not even hearing his voice, he came here like independently just to complain about this.
Yeah, we
should blame you for Carl's voice, Dan, which granted is the best episode we ever did, but
yeah, this show, the After Dark episodes, we always keep it spicy, whether it's possibly shady production or voice altering technology back in the day. Keegan or Nah? I'm gonna roll with Nah. Yeah. Especially, I think it's gonna be a little windy. Like him or not, Nah really is a great scrambler. Keegan cannot putt, incredible ball striker. We've seen him, certainly can compete, but Kevin Na, I think, has a better all-around game for this. He's driving the ball much better, much further than he ever has. Actually, a guy I have some interest in this week where Keegan's not really on my radar.
Yeah, well said. I like Na. I don't like Keegan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Keegs. But
are you eating the Kyle Stanley chalk?
I am, yeah. He's just... I don't know. You know, his price doesn't really move. I know we have limited stats, but it did show that he struck it well, couldn't putt, which is somewhat to be expected. He's just the kind of guy that he's had some really big finishes in WGCs, in big field events, and he can be your third or fourth player. So I really don't mind going right back to him.
Specifically this big field. I mean, not big field, but quality field WGC event.
Yeah, I think he came in fifth
last year. Yeah.
Like he's done it, and he's just par fours, good with the irons, timely putting, in my opinion. And I know that's somewhat arbitrary, but there's a difference between, I've said this before, Benny On, who never putts well, even when his good putting, he still never gains crazy amounts. Kyle Stanley's had a handful of tournaments where he's gained 4, 5, 6 strokes putting. Now, he loses a bunch on a lot of others, but you'll take that 25% chance that he's top 10 in putting. That's something you're ready to roll with.
Right. In a highly variant thing, you would like to embrace that variance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Oh, wow. We got in the premium Slack chat, we got some real shady characters. We got about 25 minutes to lock. You want to start rolling through some of these guys?
Yeah, sure. Popular name for our crew, it seems like, is Mr. Chris Wood.
Yeah, one of my guys. Like Chris Wood, playing him this week. Not the longest hitter. Good in the wind. Solid. Keeps it accurate off the tee. Kind of in that Molinari bucket of he gains strokes off the tee, but it's not through distance. So he's pretty accurate. This is a step up, there's no doubt. But he's played in plenty of big events. He's had some big showings here and there along the way. And he's sub 7K, not going to be popular at all. Fire him up in tourneys. Don't go there in cash.
I agree with that.
We did have just a real quick, John, what are you doing with Rahm? Because I jammed him in with Rory on some lines. Are you going there?
Again, not playing a whole lot, mostly playing I just have lineups in the big tee to green. And so I mostly am doing like double 10K plus guys and then mix and matching 4 of the guys that I'm kind of into in the high 6s, low 7s. Yeah. I do like the idea of Rahm. If I were playing more heavily and had spent my normal, I normally spend 10 hours making these lineups. I spent
7 minutes,
45 minutes this time. Little different. So I probably would have quite a bit more Rahm on a normal week. And this is not like, I feel like I'm like being terrible at my job tonight, but this is because this is a just kind of useless event too. Like
it's very difficult. Yeah, I mean, for Rahm, he's good enough where you can play him. I talk about correlating stacks all the time, and I also say the big guys you don't have to worry about that because they can play in any correlation. I do think that Rahm fits into that, but at the same time, I like him with DJ. I like him with Rory. Just really aggressive off the tee. I mean, I guess you could throw Brooks in there. No one cares for the number one golfer in the world.
I do. I have some Brooks. I like Brooks. Good player.
He is good.
Better than Rahm.
Hey, Hunter dropped in just to say hi. Yeah, of course. Stop on by for the pigskin streams, man. Going to be coming up later in the week once golf locks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We got our third fella back on Three Fellas
tomorrow.
Laffy returned to the building. Thank you, Josh, for filling in last week, but excited to have Laffy back. That is tomorrow night at probably 7 p.m. Eastern-ish.
Talking Showdown. So stop on by to that for sure. Anywho, we got
Andy
Eric
Sullivan.
Who?
Andy Sullivan. That's the next name on the list. I'm going to...
None for me. I prefer Chris Wood, and I don't think, unless you're really MMEing, you should be playing too many of those guys. So, Sullivan, again, he's shown flashes. He's a fine player. He can get hot putting. But I prefer Chris Wood, mostly just because what he does. Tee to green, I think, is a little better.
Yeah, I think that is pretty fair. I'm not a huge Sullivan guy in general. Anyway, Tour winner this year, Andrea Pavon.
Yeah, your projections really like him. And I get it. He's a phenomenal iron player, and that does translate. It's kind of like defense travels narrative. The one thing, this is a real step up. I know I keep saying that with some of these Euros. Those guys have played in majors. Those guys have done some WGCs. This dude would not be here if he didn't win a Euro event. Can he play well? Sure, if his irons are really on point. But that's the kind of guy, I don't know how high the ceiling is. I wouldn't be stunned to see him have a middling finish. I'd be pretty surprised if he really breaks through and competes.
I think that's the issue there too. Pavon is like a fine player. He's a good Euro Tour player, but again, I think he would get killed on normal PGA Tour events. I don't think what he's done is like overall. It's just he's been somewhat steady. Yeah, he's got the most important skill, is his best skill. So it's like it's gonna show up a little bit, but I have a hard time buying him as like a really, it's like you don't need it and you wouldn't do it in cash. And like I'm kind of with you. I'm not sure the upside's there for GPPs.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. He's almost I know, and I wouldn't do this. I'm not saying he's on the fringe cash element though, because he's a pretty consistent player. It's just really hard to see him going low and competing against this type of field.
Yep. He is showing up a lot in the projections, and it's because the top guys are so much better than like most of these $8,000 guys are normally 73, 7,400 too, is the other thing. So we're getting some weird ones. All right, next guy was Ryan Fox.
That man is a super bomber. He would be I think the longest player. He's in the Cameron Champ, like maybe the longest player on tour if he played over here. I don't know how much he can use that length at a course like this. There's a lot of water. You can be aggressive, but there's a point where it's no reason to be that aggressive. And I'm not sure how I really like him at a course that's somewhat technical. Water neutralizes the bomb and gouge narrative.
It does, yeah. Gouging is really hard from 3 feet of water.
Yeah, it's tricky. So he's a cool guy to play. I mean, he's going to destroy par fives. It's just how effective will he be when there's going to be holes where he's placement, and that's not his skill set.
Yep, agree. Who do we have? Eric Van Rooyen. Carl.
The Kevin Tway clone man. I don't have any. He was close. I think he's a decent. He's. I think what is he? 6,400. Let me see. We got 6,400. So there's not that many plays down there. I I was able to mostly avoid it. If I did play anyone sub 6'5", it would be him. No question about it. He is the best player down there, in my opinion. So I don't really think you need to go there, but at the same time, say you want to jam like Rose DJ or something. Sure. No problem with that.
Yeah, it's fair.
We
Achilles'
did
interesting question on fantasy draft for cash: Harman Snedeker or Grace Surrey?
Ooh.
I kind of think on something like fantasy draft where you're getting a low score dropped anyway, you kind of just go for it with a couple of the crazier ones and hope, not crazier ones, but guys that you've seen like real upside from. Harman and Sneds are not in great form, but those are the guys that if they show up, they are really going to get there for you. And you're going to have a low score dropped anyway. So if just, if one of them comes out gangbangers, and one of them comes gangbusters, and one of them, we're not allowed to talk porn on these shows according to according to specs. Where did that? I need to sleep.
Times are tough. I know what you're saying though. It's true. I'll put it like this: on the site like Fantasy Draft, if Sneds comes in third, you would take dead last from Harman.
Exactly.
And that's really what, even in cash, which that's a reverse logic, you would go for that in that setting because you get a freebie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you there. We did have someone in chat ask for. Hey man, that's what I'm here for. For Yuki, I'm assuming he means Yuki Inamori, who is 6,100. I'm not going there to any of those guys from the Asian Tour. I don't see much of a reason to be honest. Like, I don't know how any of them will play. There's so many of them, it's hard to distinguish. I don't know if you meant Yuta Akita, who's the one I've heard of. I'm still not playing him, but he's closer. You're not playing any of the guys who are not on either PGA or Euro Tour, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I think that's just a general rule that we're both taking this week.
Yes.
All right. Fair.
All right, and then the last guy was, or there were two more.
Two more.
Oh, Peters.
Yes. Sign me up for Thomas Peters.
Cooler
scoring
throwing shade at Peters, putting him on the egregious list.
Yeah, that's rough, man. Let's not unfairly label people. I'm just all about Peters in these formats. He just scores so much. It's really appealing.
Yep. Same. I have a bunch. And then last two. Sorry, there were two more. It's we now have Ashon Wu and Jorge Campanillo, who are both. Ashon Wu is at least a Euro Tour player. Like, he's a real. Right?
Oh, whoa. What? No. Yes, he is a Euro Tour player, but are you? I hope you're not implying that my man Jorge is not.
No, I'm saying Ashon Wu. I think a lot of people are seeing Asian names and crossing them all off the list. Ashon Wu is the best of the Asian players here, from what I can tell.
Hao Tong Li and Ashon Wu are both they're Euro Tour players who just happen to be from China.
Yes.
I'm still not going there. He's not. Nothing really stood out when I kind of looked at him. The price, you're not getting, if he was 6,200, he would be unique in the sense there's no one down there. He's 6,800. Like, he's $100 more expensive than Brian Harman. He's the same price as Chris Wood. He's $200 less than someone like CT Pan, $300 less than someone like Thomas Peters. There's so many options for me to just get to players that I feel much more comfortable with.
Yep. I agree with that.
Who was the second guy? Oh, Jorge. He's a guy I really like the way he plays. Him and Bjork, I think both of them are capable of playing well here. Again, when I'm playing reduced volume, if you're playing a huge field tournament and you want to take them, I think go for it, honestly. But be prepared for big blow up risk. In cash, in smaller field tournaments, in conservative lineups, doesn't make the cut. It's a big risk with a lot of unknown.
Okay.
But in a tournament like the Drive the Green, it's like 30,000 people. It's not that top heavy this week, but if it is, you can get them at 1%, and that is appealing.
I would agree with that. I like appealing things.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes till lock. So Chad, if you have any questions, drop them in. And if you can, when you drop your questions, drop a like to us. It appreciates it. It does a lot for us. It helps our production cost. As you see, we need all the help we can get. So if you give us a like, we really do appreciate that.
This was not supposed to be my job, Ben. You're the one with the trash computer. Just because.
I'm sorry. I spent I can't afford another desktop because I have the owl picture.
Yeah, this kid makes a mint in DFS every year and can't buy has rocking like a $600 laptop there.
I need a new laptop. Yeah, it's
I need you to have a new laptop.
Anywho. We got 15 minutes till lock. I'm just looking it over. A couple guys I just want to mention. And one guy in particular, we talk a lot about Rover. You're gonna hear that expression a lot. It's a stat that Andrews created that's behind the paywall, and it's talks about round around variance, kind of correlate with the upside and how new hot a guy can get, and it's really pertinent in non-cut. And two guys that and Tim actually mentioned this on the show yesterday, and it goes against everything that I would think too. Tommy Fleetwood and Ian Poulter, they both have really high rovers, which means they can go crazy low and they can get very hot. And you wouldn't, or at least for me, I wouldn't think that either of them are. They seem consistent in the sense that, they're both quality players. They seem like they keep it together, but their rovers.
English accents. That's why you think they're consistent.
Yeah, that's right. Good point.
Tim, I didn't have the heart. Tim was so wrapped up in that yesterday with the Fleetwood thing, and I didn't want to be like, well, actually, but.
I mean, it's interesting though because Tommy Fleetwood does make a lot of cuts. It's not like he's not doing that, but he
does it with 64, 73, skates into the cut, and then goes like 62, 62 on the weekend. Like it's weird.
Right.
He has one bad round. Like look at his stuff. He has a bad round every tournament. He just also has an insane one in there. So I often, to horrible success last year, did a lot of kind of fading of Tommy Fleetwood, saying, hey, wow, this guy's 25% owned this week. That's insane because he's like $9,800 somehow. And then you just hope you get the bad round on Thursday or Friday, and it just never happened. But he would have one. He would have a bad Saturday, like most of the time. It was weird.
Yeah, no, but that's something you do want to look to. Not, again, am I starting my lineups with just high rover? No. But when it's close, I'll look to something like that and say, okay, I have a guy, like Austin Cook who's very low variance. He grinds, he plays well. Paul Casey, Stenson, who's not here.
Can't lay.
Yeah, those guys they're cut makers. They're good for bonuses in terms of keeping it steady. Not really what you want here. You want the Thomas Peters of the world. Do you have any? I know you've been scrambling. Did you bet any first round leaders?
I couldn't. I don't think they have them posted on Bovada, or they took them off the board. They only had 3 balls last I saw. Which I looked 10 minutes before the show started, so that was going to be part of the experiment too.
Yeah, we definitely are going to start talking a little more about betting on the shows, not just first round leaders, but maybe some head-to-head props, 3 balls. I don't love the non-cuts, even for that. I think the odds get somewhat mitigated, but I will throw out a dark horse, and this is a guy I like on DraftKings. Wouldn't mind a first-round leader bet, just a sprinkle, of course, because he's not one of the big dogs. It's my man, Matthew Fitzpatrick. I think he can get off to a fast start here. He gets calm conditions, even if it's windy. I mean, he plays in the wind. He's a great iron player, and he's a great putter. He's not immune to going low. He's had some big starts. Don't know if he can honestly hold it together for 72 holes, but I wouldn't be stunned to see him have a good showing here at the same time.
Okay, like that.
It's also tough betting these because, and I mean, I know it opens up the odds, but the win equity is massive up top. Like you're not fading. Like when we had Justin Thomas in Malaysia, it's like, well, if JT doesn't win, it's wide open. Like if DJ doesn't win, Rose, Brooks, Rory, Day, Decky, like it's a lot of guys up there. And honestly, at these WGCs, one of them usually does win.
Because part of that too is like when you dodge all of those guys, like anyone can miss a cut in golf. Like there's an insane amount of variance in golf in general, and like when you have a 4-round no cut, as much as like this sort of seems contrary to because so little is set by Sunday, but the reason so little is set by Sunday in like DFS tournaments is because no teams are dead yet. There hasn't like in a cut event, the cut itself is completely friggin' random, but it's just that it kills, between 80 and 95% of teams Friday afternoon. So like you're just playing, your 6 of 6s are playing against a much smaller field. It's more variance when there's a cut. So like having the no cut event gives the like cream of the crop more time to rise to the top. They don't get beat by the random Adam Hadwin crazy round,
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and you're right in this aspect of it. Yes, there are guys who can rebound because you have the extra holes to make up, and at some of these environments, you can fire a 62 on Saturday and be 4 shots off the lead, and you wouldn't even have been in contention. There's also less guys, so there you go. I mean,
yeah, definitely. I'm just saying, like in 4 rounds, like whatever, Ches Reavie can come out to a gangbang on Friday, on Thursday. But if you get him, you put Ches Reavie in 4 rounds against Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Justin Rose, Jason Day, Hideki, like it's just, he's not going to beat all of those guys. It's not going to happen. But if 3 of them just randomly get cut because they got a bunch of water balls at the first day of Honda Classic or whatever, or they're playing at the British Open, like that's when sort of weaker players tend to have more of a chance.
Fair. What about Chris Wood? We mentioned him before. I like Chris Wood. He's a tournament play. It's somewhat aggressive, but accurate enough, good enough in terms of pedigree that I think he can compete in a field like this. So I don't mind him as your last minute at 6,800. You could go up to Barn Rat. He's right there too. Likes playing in Southeast Asia. Murders par 5s. Just a cool dude too. So that always helps.
Yes.
Oh, we got where's the countdown here? I kind of like this. Rarely do we go right up. With golf shows, we're never by lock.
No, this is weird.
This is like a first. I know it. The tournament is just locking in 7 minutes.
Yep. I'm trying to take out another Ches Reavie lineup.
Yeah, get him out of here. Do you have? I know we. Do you have a hot take for this one?
No.
No.
I can come up with one if you have one to start.
Sure. I hit my hot take last week.
What was it? Was it just our head-to-head? Or what was?
Yeah,
did you have an
it was
actual
also
hot take?
right. The actual hot take was that Ryan Palmer would be the best player in the 6s.
Oh, right.
He was. And I have to take my victory lap because I probably won't get another one right until the FedEx Cup playoffs next year. That's usually my MO. My hot take will be that Benyon gains strokes putting, and we'll never know. Let's see. I'm gonna say that. Here's my hot take. That
this is we're very thought out. What do we got here?
I'm just gonna stick with my man. I think that Matthew Fitzpatrick will. What's hot? Top 10? That's got to be pretty hot. Top 5?
It's not that hot at a 70-person event. It's pretty hot. Matthew Fitzpatrick's not top 10. He's unlikely to do so.
Yeah. I don't want to get crazy. We're early in the swing season. We need to pace ourselves. I don't want the viewers thinking we're totally out of control just yet with the hot takes. So just going to ease into, I think Matthew Fitzpatrick can put up a top 10 here.
Okay. Yeah, I think it could happen.
Yours is that he doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Smart.
No, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. That's not I don't know exactly, but somewhere between like 10 and 20% of that happening.
I was going to say 5 to 8 to 1.
Yep.
So that's pretty much what you just said. So, who's of all these guys? I know you're not making a ton of teams. Is there anyone you're really like overweight on in terms of you think can go low?
Harman and Peters, I think,
Harman.
are ones that show up the most. I'll go. Yeah, might as well say Harman top 10. I think that's just as likely to happen as Fitz doing it. It's just his downside is like the Harman 70th
Harman's bad.
is even higher than Fitz's is. Yeah, I'll go Harman top 10. Why not? Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I like Harman too. It's going to be, like I said, we're doing the best we can on these non-cuts. This is it. Then we go back. I know it's not the best fields coming up, but we will have cuts. I think there's so much. I know you like this. Let the cream rise to the crop. No, I want cuts. Get them out of here. Cut the field. I wish it was like Europe. In Europe, it's only top 65.
Right.
You get
and I like a cut now too because it's like the edge in golf is with the tournaments. I'm saying that this is actually a lower. Like I know it's counterintuitive, but this tournament itself is lower variance than one with a cut. A cut is just a random. Let's get rid of half the people randomly.
But for the players,
right?
I don't think for DFS that's true though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the tournament itself, like a random scrub has way less of a chance at a WGC event than he does 100%. At the Honda Classic, specifically the Honda Classic or the Players or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, just think of it like the NBA. If the Warriors got to play, best 5 out of 11, they would really be at an advantage. If it was one game. I mean, they have a much better chance to lose. Obviously, the longer you run it, the better players will eventually catch the Ches Reeves of the world.
Would you say this is actually stupid, but why not? Trying to think of like who are the worst teams in the NBA? Atlanta certainly. Dallas is probably up there. The Knicks are really bad. Yeah, like I almost feel like because the Knicks do have a couple 3-point shooters, but like Atlanta being so reliant on Trae Young almost has a better chance. They have a better chance of beating the Warriors than another like awful team. You know what I mean? You want to up that variance in those situations.
Absolutely. Now, their downside is they could lose by 70 and the other team for them. But
and that's why we like you and I, and it smooths out our results probably to enjoy a tournament with a cut halfway through it because it culls a lot of the field and it can cull a lot of the chalk, and we're not as likely to be on the chalk. But on the whole, in a tournament, it is just a random let's just get rid of half of these people thing. That's what the cut is. It doesn't really make a ton of sense.
My one pushback there is that everyone is aware of it. That's my one thing. You know what I mean? It's not like it's random. If it was random and guys didn't know where the cut was, I would 100% agree. But I think there is a skill in being able to get on the line or close to it.
Yeah, that's called low variance. That's called being a low variance player.
I guess, but even within that though, to me, there are certain players that know when to stop and survive, and then they get your 36 holes and make the move. And other guys that have one speed and they play their 36th hole like they play any other hole.
100% agree with you. That first group is the group of low variance players. That second group is the group of high variance players.
Yes, I think on a macro level, but even within those guys, I still think there's a skill set of just being smart and being able to maneuver within a cut. But I get it. I mean, who knows, honestly? There a lot of that's noise. We've talked time and time again. Brandon Harkins last year, he was running like God. He was making every cut on the number. That seemed just random to me. I mean, one stroke difference, and he would have missed 4 or 5 cuts in a row. And instead, people were like, oh, I actually like Harkins this week. He's made 12 out of 14. It's like, yeah, but he easily could have made 5 out of 14.
I think the point is what we both would agree with here. Again, this is the two of us, and we're in lock in 10 seconds. So congratulations, good luck, everyone. Get out there. I think the conclusion we're both coming to, like we often do, come at things from different angles. But the idea is that you have a better ability to predict a cut by coming up with someone's sort of like their middle and then their range of outcomes than you do by saying this guy's 12 of 14, right? You're trying to come up with a range of outcomes and a probability that they get through the cut. And I'm just saying I do that with mean and standard deviation, and that's just like you're doing this, you do the same thing.
Absolutely. No, I was just saying that the cut being random in the sense of like, if a guy is consistently missing cuts on the number and stuff, sometimes it's variance, but there is also sometimes like it's just a stupidity thing that I think you can factor in if we have a long enough sample size.
Maybe, but I feel like we also with those we see, we're used to seeing certain guys just miss 5-footers to make the cut, but that stands out. It's kind of like what we were talking about with watching golf in general, because you only see like the crazy stuff. So
absolutely,
it can really bias you to be like, oh wow, I saw, honestly, that's happened to me with Phil before, where it's just like, wow, I see Phil hit 6 25-footers every time I watch a stupid golf tournament. Like, he must be awesome at this. It's like, no, you just see a lot of Phil, and he does a lot of crazy shit.
No, it's fair. I totally get what you're saying. I really do. It is fun though. Anyway, we made it. We did it.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck, people. So yeah, just a couple administrative things and we'll hop on out of here. Football, rest of the week for us. We got 3 fellas talking football tomorrow night, 7:00, showdown, general thoughts. Stop on in. And then Friday, NFL main slate, college football main slate, 2:30 from A to B. We will be here. We hope everyone there will be there asking us questions. Anything from your end?
Well, I was just going to ask what time your Sanderson Farms Periscope goes on later, because I'd like to tune in, but I probably won't because I got stuff going on.
So it's actually live in the sense that you actually have to be in, so you got to come over to the apartment, stop in right in the living room. I'm going to be doing I'm going to mime the plays, but Bill Haas is going to win. So there you go, people. Little gold if you're still watching this. And if you haven't, give us a like. We really do appreciate that. Helps us out a ton. So
we do.
Think we did the Asian swing. Congratulations to us.
Out with a bang. Whoops.
Bill Haas. Yeah, I like it. Yeesh.
All right. Well, yeah, that was good, man. We made it through. Thank you, Josh and Dan, for taking us under your wing. And one
Appreciate
day
it.
we will not disappoint you.
That day is not today, though.
It's not today.
No.
Don't suck next week. All right. Take care, everyone. We will talk to you tomorrow night. Clear. Not clear.